Hey guys, how you going? It's Raddy. I just doing a response video to the guitar lessons and stuff that I did with nail guitar with Andy, and the first thing that obviously I wouldn't mind talking about was I did get asked the question as to what was this. So basically what it is, it's a 50th anniversary Strat. It's a Squire. It's not a American model by any means. It's only a cheapie, but it does have a Seymour Duncan in the bridge here, which is basically, I don't actually know exactly what pickup it is because a friend of mine had it and it was buggered and he rewound it for me and threw it in. The other thing about this guitar is that this isn't the original neck. The neck was snapped off just here under the headstock, and basically this neck is from, I believe, a company called All Parts that make some really good stuff. So we got a new neck for it, and I scanned some stickers off the original headstock. So I've got the original serial number, the Fender logo obviously, and it's now called the Radicaster. Yeah. So other than that, I found it and it was cheap, and I needed a working horse of a guitar that I could belt around a bit and not worry too much about. And I picked this up and I really liked it. It's actually quite heavy, and yeah, it's just got a really nice sound for what it is, you know. So yeah, that's a bit about the guitar. All right. The first thing I'll go over was I had some questions about the jam by yourself parts of things. So I suppose the first thing to get down would be, you know, what was the actual chord progression that we were playing. So basically we've got an A minor 7. So fret all the notes on the 5th fret, except this one you're going to miss out the A string, so you don't play the A string as such. Well, you can in this particular one because we are in A, so it's not going to matter. But for the sake of good habits, when you move up, obviously you're not going to play the A string. So I'm playing A minor 7 to an A minor 6th. So basically what I'm doing is with my first finger I'm going to fret on the 4th fret. And that's basically all there is to it. So I'm keeping all the notes for the rest of them. And it's just that really that's moving. The only other thing that I'll do every now and then, just for a bit of colour, is I'll move from a semitone down and play the G sharp and move up to the A. So yep, very poorly, but yes, that's what I'm doing. Next is just a D9, D9th chord, and the last chord, E9th. All I'll do really different with these is every now and then I may add in a semitone down to move up, or to move down, and then play like a G, G sharp, A to get me back. Okay, so that's the main thing. So we'll show you how that goes. It goes a little like this. You see the semitone down. So basically, pretty basic blues, minor blues chord progression. So the idea though was what I was sort of trying to, I hope, sort of get across was that really, at the end of the day, lead playing is really heavily reliant on what you're playing rhythmically and obviously what the chord progression is. So instead of just obviously, flailing away and playing pentatonic licks and things that you know how to play, the idea was to try and tie in the licks that you're playing to get you back into the next chord that you're playing. So, like I said, the way that I started to learn that was to trade with myself. So whether I trade in twos, which is, play for two and then trade for two and do your solo for two, or whether it's do that 4 times, so 4 bars, or whether you play the whole entire progression and get right to the end and then try and solo for the whole entire progression without playing any chords. All of these sort of things that just help you, learn to hear the chord progression that's going on, even though it isn't there. So, it's really about, you hearing that chord progression in your head whilst you're playing, so that you're playing to that chord progression. So, I think rather than, and I had a few people that obviously said, I really like some of the licks that you do, and thank you very much. But it really wasn't so much about learning, I suppose, the licks that I'm playing, but really about coming up with your own ideas in order to help you try and get back to the different chords you're playing. And that, can be any lick whatsoever. But I think let's go through a couple of the ones that I did, just so that you might have a few ideas and you might be able to, run with it yourself and come up with your own. So really just sort of sticking to the A minor pentatonic at this time, so nothing too out of the ordinary. A few accidental notes, and yes, accidental is the correct terminology. I say passing, I have done for a long time, a lot of other people do too, so it's really the same thing, just a different name. So, here we go. We'll stop there for a sec. Just a couple of things. So that'd be one of the licks I'm doing. One of the other licks, it's phrased a little funny, but it's, so I'm using, so it's 7th fret, 5th fret, and 7th fret. They're the notes. Start. It's the lick there. One of the other ones that I, quite commonly use, and it's really for the chord change, and like I said, it's about sort of spelling out that chord, which is I might use, the semitone before I get to obviously my E ninth. I will use the first 3 notes maybe. And as you can see there, now I'm on the note of my E ninth there, or one of the notes from my E ninth, I should say. Same again. There's the semitone before I go back. Okay, so really, all I'm doing by that is I'm just spelling out where I'm about to go next. And semitones can be a really, really good way, or your accidental passing notes, whichever you want to call them, can be a really good way of getting from, one chord to the next, because they all sound. Sometimes I'll even, instead of, at the turnaround of the song, that as the turnaround instead of just playing the E9. Use the F9. Yep. And then back. And then I could spell that out. So there's some of the little ideas that I use. Obviously, that first lick before, this note's not really in the pentatonic as such, but it can be a really nice little colour, as long as you don't live on it and sit there. Well, you can, but I sort of try not to stay on notes that aren't really in the scale too long, particularly ones that clash. Sound a bit weird. That can sound alright. Yep. But I'm not dwelling on this. Or it can sound a bit funny. But the main thing is just, try and think melodically, try and think about, where the next chord is that you're about to play, and think about the notes that are in that chord, the notes that are in the chord that you're already on, and think about how you could play a lick that will give you the sound of both of those particular, chords that you're on. So it could be one or there. So you might go. Get the idea. So really for you, it's just, sitting down, tap your foot is a really good bit of advice. I know Tom Emanuel was huge on that. Tap your foot to try and keep in time. You can do it to a metronome if you really want to as well. But the idea for me is that, there's no backing, there's no band, there's no anything else to rely on other than the chord progression that you hear in your head, and that's really what it's all about. Is hearing that chord progression, whatever chord progression it may be. You can do it with, different ones. Another example could be, and while we're on this one, what we might do is we might extend the solos for a bit longer. So instead of, trading so often and playing solo licks, where they're in between each chord, we might play the chord progression. Maybe play it twice. Then solo over the chord progression. Because one of the things that I remember learning off a guy that taught me for a while when I was younger was that he really liked guitarists that could, if you took away all the stuff that was in the background and just listened to them play, you could still have an understanding of what was going on in the background. So, like I've said in the video with Andy, the bass player can just be playing three notes, that doesn't tell you what the chord notes are or what chords that you're actually playing. So your job, if you were just playing with a bass player and a drummer, and there's, you know, just you, the guitarist, and all of a sudden you start playing and all of a sudden all the chords disappear, it makes sense for you to try and spell out the sounds of which chords are being played. You know, I'll leave it there for now. You know, please fire away with any questions that you've got, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can with an answer. And yeah, I hope you have fun, you know, jamming by yourself. Catch ya.